Yo, 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 what's up, guys? It's your boy once again. Want to do this video talking about AEW. A lot of these videos I've been wanting to do, I mean to really do them like ahead of time. Um, it's just, I get so busy sometimes, and then, I work late, and sometimes I get a little tired or lazy. Or I end up doing other things that the videos just keep getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And then by the time I want to talk about something that I want to talk about, it's no longer relevant or it loses its relevance. And at that point, it's like, well, then what's the point of me talking about it? Um, so I'm really trying to get better at it, guys. I know I used to be coming out with bangers like almost every week, 2 to 3 videos a week, but um, I'm trying to get back into it. So anyway, so in this video here, I'm going to talk about here AEW in 2020 so far. Um, I made a video about a month and a half ago talking about my analysis of AEW since it debuted, since its October debut, all the way up. I think it's like December. I think it was at that time. I made that video, and I gave my assessment, my criticisms of WWE. I gave some positive, what I liked about it, and I gave some things I did not like about it. Now, even though we're only 2 months in to the new year, um, I gotta say, it's prompted me to do this because the first 2 months so far of AEW have been fantastic. There's only been about maybe one show that I felt was like kind of weak, but literally that one episode versus the past like 8 or 9 we've gotten so far this year have been solid, like entertaining as hell. I'll probably say since the was it the Bash at the Beach themed episode where Diamond Dallas Page was on there, and then the following week we got the Jericho Cruise um, episode, and then the week after that, I'm trying to remember what did we got. It was like the beat down of John Moxley where they teased Jeff Code coming in. And then the following week after that, we got Jeff Cobb, and then we had the week after the Jericho Cruise, whatever, we had the whipping, the lash whipping of Cody Rhodes, him getting the whips from MJF, and then the week after that, we got the debut match of Jeff Cobb, and the first ever AEW cage match, which was really good, um, and then the go home show last week with a 30-minute match between Pac and Omega, which was really good. We've been having some really good episodes of AEW, and I've really been enjoying them. They've been really, really good. And, I know a lot of people, the one episode I did miss with AEW was the one where the Dark Order came and they ended the show with the beat down on the Young Bucks and Omega and so on and so forth, which a lot of people said was like, what the fuck was this? Like, this is your last episode to end the year. And it's on this. It was Bush League. It looked terrible. A lot of overwhelmingly negative feedback from that last episode. And coming into the new year, there were reports of Tony Khan really taking the initiative and kind of tightening up a little bit on the creative aspect of AEW and how it's, the book taking over the creative. Really taking over the creative. Um, and it looks like, so far from all the episodes we've been getting, it's improved. I feel like AEW so far in 2020, they've kind of, now again, there's still a new company that is still learning, that is still growing. But I feel like the first 2 months of AEW television far exceeds, was far better than the last 2 months of AEW TV in 2019. And there were some good episodes too, don't get me wrong. But I just feel like now in 2020, the episodes that we've been getting, it feels like they're starting to find their groove. They're starting to find their stride, hitting their stride. They're starting to find their groove a little bit. They fixed the audio issue, which is something everyone complained about. Had yet to see an audio failure with that. Jim Cornette, I think, has kind of improved a little bit in his commentary. Having Tony Schiavone there, I think, is really good. They've signed Taz since then as an on-air commentator. Taz does a good job working there with JR. It's good to have him there with JR. And I know Excalibur is one of the main voices as well for AEW, but I'm just talking about the good things here. Um, what else? The Nightmare Collective thing that everyone was, the Brandy faction, that everyone was kind of confused. Like, what the hell is this? That everyone was like, what is this? Um, they cut down on that. They Brandy even had an interview with David Alvarez from Pro Wrestling Online, and basically said that what she had planned for the Nightmare Collective was not what we got on television. That she could feel the fans wasn't picking up on it, and she wasn't picking up on it, and she wasn't feeling it. So right now, they just decided just to drop it. So they dropped the whole Nightmare Collective thing. They listened to the fans' feedback. Um, what else? Hitting up the audio issues. I'm trying to think. What's some other stuff that AEW I feel like has improved on? Britt Baker changed her character. It looks like we're getting some new beefcakes in AEW. Now, I thought at first we had Jeff Cobb, Jeff Cobb, Cobb. I think it's Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb. He's a small dude. He's not like tall or big or anything. He reminds me of like a modern like Taz or Rhino in terms of like stature. But the guy, he's a mini beefcake. So he's got some muscle and some power. Something that a lot of people have been complaining about. He's not officially signed to AEW right now. He's kind of like a free agent, and he's floating around between AEW, New Japan, and Ring of Honor. But according to Cody, they have some dates planned ahead that they can work with him if he's willing to come in. It's an open door policy for Jeff Cole, but they do have the intent to lock him down. At least Cody wants to lock him in and lock him down for AEW. Um, who else? There's talks of, well, they just signed Lance Archer from New Japan. He'll be making his in-ring debut tomorrow. As the recording of this video on Wednesday night. There's been rumors speculating that Brian Cage, former Impact World Champion, former I don't even think it was Lucha Underground champion. I don't think Brian Cage is a Lucha Underground champion, but I know he was former Pro Wrestling Guerrilla champion. Excuse me. Um, he's out on injury right now because during his last match on Impact, he suffered a really bad injury. He tore something, but he's going to be out for several months. So he did say he had a Facebook live video where he said that his contract did end with Impact. And right now, as he's healing, he's going to weigh out his options. He's going to look at everything that's on the table. Doesn't mean it's going to be with AEW or not. But, I mean, from some of the sources, some things that kind of came out, I'm pretty sure AEW is going to be where Brian Cage is going to next. Um, so if he does come, that's going to be like, late in the fall when he gets better. But that's another potential beefcake that'd be on the roster. Luke Harper, former WWE guy, former Wyatt family member. Luke Harper has been speculated for months to come to AEW. We'll see. But again, that's a criticism or critique that a lot of people have been saying. Like AEW doesn't really have any heavyweights. Looks like we're getting some heavyweights. Um, I just feel like everyone has been doing a good job this year in 2020 so far in AEW. I just finished doing a review of Revolution, which I thought was a solid pay per view, good pay per view. Not the greatest pay per view of all time, what a lot of people are stating on the internet, but it was enjoyable and it was a good wrestling pay per view for sure. The storylines are really good and consistent. Um, like I said, it's really a breath of fresh air to have AEW on television and have another company like this. As a wrestling fan, I consider it a blessing, because we need something. As far as on America soil, we need another option. And yeah, you can say we have Impact or whatever, but not everyone watches Impact. And Impact, you know, for as long as they've been in the dogfight, 15 years, Impact, it's a shell of itself. It really is. And that's not a discredit towards Impact, but it's, you gotta call it like how you see it. Impact pushed a lot of people and a lot of the fan base away that I just don't think they're ever going to get back. I do think it's funny because how people will criticize Impact for that, but they'll give WWE 1,001 chances considering all the stuff that WWE does. Um, there are fans that have not watched WWE for years, but you do get a lot more though that say, "Fuck WWE, I'm not watching this or this or that," and they'll end up coming back for WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, whatever. Um, so it's having AEW is really a breath of fresh air. It is. Um, I love what they've been doing. I like it. I still think they have definitely still have a long way to go in terms of their growth and their performance. Their women's division is still trash. Um, which to me, I look at AEW's women's division and I'm kind of indifferent about it. Is it trash? Yes. The best match that they've had in that women's division was the Riho and Nyla Rose match for the women's title, where Nyla Rose won. That's the only good match I can think of right now that AEW's had for the women's division. To me, like I said, I'm indifferent. I've never been gung ho of women's wrestling, and women have good wrestling matches. They have a good wrestling match. I will forever say a lot of the women's matches in NXT, back in the early years of NXT when Charlotte was down there and Sasha Banks was down there, and God, who else? When you had Natty at one point was down there, as the veteran, was really good. Um, Maybe that first to second year when a lot of those same women on NXT got called to the main roster were having good wrestling matches on the main roster. Um, and you had Asuka that was down there, and NXT still does have a pretty solid quality of matches in their women's division. WWE, I think, has kind of faltered a little bit in the last year or so. But to me, women's matches is like, hey, if it's a good women's match, it's a good women's match. If it's crappy, okay, it's crappy. But I'm really not gonna be, on the internet or giving an opinion and say like, oh, this is shit. This is absolute dog shit. I'm gonna be more critical of storylines and things that pertain to the men's matches more so than I would the women. That's just me. I've just never been all that gung ho and focus of the women's revolution of wrestling and all of that. If they put on good matches and give good quality story times, great. But that's probably not going to be one. That's probably not where 100% of my focus is going to be. 100% of my focus is going to be whatever storyline the elite guys are doing, whatever Jurassic Express, Lucha Bros, whatever else are doing. That's just my personal opinion on that. But their women's division still sucks. Being a realist here. But other than that, like I said, I feel like AEW is finding their stride. I like it. I look forward to watching it every Wednesday night, especially when for the past few weeks, due to my work schedule, I've been mostly free on Wednesday nights. So yeah, I definitely dig it. You guys let me know what you think about AEW. What you thought of it so far in 2020. Do you feel like they're hitting their stride? Do you feel like they found their stride, I should say, and kind of feeling a little bit more comfortable and getting into the groove of things compared to the first 3 months of their televised debut. I mean, you guys thoughts in the box below. Do yourself a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. Peace out.